let's try again. If you don't already know what the hell am I gonna be doing here, get out! Or wait 5 seconds and I'll explain everything to you. So the thing, the premise here is that every Saturday evening, like right now, I'm gonna be talking about video game news that I care about and that I wanna talk about, I wanna share with you and bring to your attention, because you may not be aware of it. Also, I'll be providing like my opinion or analysis depending on how much I care about the given subject. So it should be cool. I'm not gonna be like a super duper informed or anything like that, because I want to keep it casual and relaxed. I just want to talk about video games, you know? I just want to keep it to like if a buddy or friend of yours came to you and was like, hey man, did you hear about this cool thing that's gonna happen like in fucking 2018? It's fucking dope ass, awesome, that kind of thing. I don't have any like a preset time or anything like that, so I'm just gonna be rambling on and on and on. If you're here and on Twitch, you can like give me some questions or debate with me or whatever. Maybe correct me about something that I might be talking about wrong here. It's totally possible. I am reading the chat here. I see you, Ryunosuke. What's up, man? Yeah. So basically, if you're here live, you can like join in the conversation here about all the news that I'm gonna be covering here. I'm gonna be editing the video down and putting it on YouTube after I'm done here, so it'll be available there. I'm probably gonna be doing that on the next day. Sometimes I might not be able to be here on Saturday evening, so I'll just move it to Sunday or Friday, whichever day works better. But yeah, I guess that's about it for the preamble. So we got the loot picks, right? So the first piece of news, oh yeah, that's another thing I wanted to mention. I'm gonna be using for most of my information, like the source is going to be Gematsu, which is the site that I have been using for many years now. These guys, they are like the basic news site. They don't do like reviews or anything like that. They just post the news, what's going on. And the reason I follow Gematsu and nothing else is that they cover Japanese games mostly. That's the main focus here. They do other stuff as well, but the main focus is on the Japanese scene, which is what I care about. So that's what I'm gonna be covering. And the first piece of news is Star Ocean: The Last Hope is getting a PS4 and PC remaster. Now, this is like a super classic Square Enix, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Because thing here is, you'll notice that it's a Star Ocean. It's like at this point I would call it a classic JRPG. It's like a old title from the Xbox 360 PS3 era, and it's getting a remaster. So sounds pretty positive, right? That's a really good step forward for Square Enix, especially if it's launching at the 2,800 yen price, which is like the half of the full price. It's probably gonna be like 25 or 30 bucks. So that's pretty good. I like all about this. However, you will notice this is not Valkyrie Profile 2. And that is the 1 step back. They did release a Star Ocean 3 slightly touched up remaster for the PS4. And that's fine and good, but you know, they could have done more. They could have like provided the dual audio track. They could have added like some bonus stuff, maybe like some artwork, some behind the scenes, what have you. But they just touched it up and put it on the digital storefront. That's totally acceptable, that's good enough. But, you know, they could have done more. Now with this, there's a slight problem that, I guess the biggest hurdle for this game is that Star Ocean 4 has really bad reputation for several reasons. And that may really hurt the sales of this remaster. I don't know. I'm one of the few people who did like this game a lot. There's a lot of stuff to do, and it's a very enjoyable JRPG. It's like action combat. It's pretty good. One of the new features you can see here that there's a functionality to take screenshots without the UI, which sounds pretty good, but I guess it's not exactly going to be a photo mode like in Final Fantasy Type 0 HD or Uncharted 4 or stuff like that, where you just pause the game and then you can you know, like change the camera angles and just take a fancy shot. That would be really good for this game because, like I'm saying, it's like a big party, real-time combat, lots of flashy moves and particle effects. So it would really be cool with the photo mode. But it doesn't seem to be exactly that. Overall, this is a good news because even though this is not Valkyrie Profile 2, this still leaves the opportunity for that to happen in the future. So I very anxiously anticipate the announcement for Valkyrie Profile 2 Silmeria Remaster for the PS4 and PC with a glorious 60 frames per second and full HD and all that stuff. Maybe they could also add the dual voices because the Japanese voice cast for Valkyrie Profile 2 is completely amazing, especially for, well, I guess that would be kind of a spoiler. Let's not talk about that. It's just a really solid fucking cast. The English voice acting is pretty good for Valkyrie Profile 2. I'll say that. I will happily admit it because again, Lime O'Brien voicing Lizard Ballad is doing excellent fucking work, and you couldn't possibly get a better person to voice act Lizard in English. Lime O'Brien fucking knocks it out of the park. He's good. But you know, since it would be a remaster, it would be cool if they could do it like they did with Final Fantasy XII. Final Fantasy XII Remaster is so good, it makes me wish for Valkyrie Profile 2 Remaster that much more. I guess that's all I can say for this. I guess that's good enough. There's only release date for the Japanese release, November 28th, but since it's gonna release on PC, well, they're not talking about Steam here. I don't see any Steam mention here. But it would be peculiar if they released it digitally on PC, which is not Steam, and also in Japan only. There are some like China and Japan exclusives on Steam, but they are very rare. And this is Square Enix we're talking about, and this is like one of the high-profile games, so I'm pretty sure we can expect this to happen on Steam in English. Fairly sure about that. Alright, next piece of news. NISA apologizes for the quality of Ys 8 localization, and there's gonna be fixes for that. I find this kind of interesting piece of news because I haven't played the full game yet, but I did play the demo, and the demo itself had some really suspect language in it. So I didn't really mind because I don't really care about this too much at all. So to me, I'm always a gameplay kind of person first. Gameplay first, music second, story third. So Ys is pretty much the perfect series for me. Although there's always been a big emphasis on like dialogue, which is I always found that to be a detrimental part of the game, not really beneficial. Because the stories are never all that interesting, the plot is like, whatever man. The characters are tropey as hell, so it's like, I don't know. There are a lot of people who say that Ys has become, Ys has a high standard for localization, because it has been in the hands of Xseed, who do a very good job. But, you know, the source material isn't anything amazing, so it's like, I don't know. As long as the translation doesn't mess with the explanation of mechanics, as long as there are not any inconsistencies between like video game terms for the mechanics, and it's all understandable, I'm okay with it. I don't really mind. But yeah. Also the PC version, that's a good point, Meta. The PC version is not out yet, but apparently the new translation is going to be on the PC version, because the date has not been announced yet. The PC version. I wonder what exactly is the problem with the PC version, if it's just optimization problems or if there's something else going on as well. They did not specify as far as I know. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see. I'm personally more interested in getting this game on the PS4 because I'm something of a trophy hunter, and I really enjoy getting platinum trophies for games that I love or just really care about. And East 8, judging from the demo, I definitely want to get the platinum trophy for this. So also it runs at 60 frames per second on the PS4, so I don't really see much of any reason to get it on PC. There's probably going to be better loading times, maybe some extra visual effects, but outside of that, I don't see any other like real benefit. We'll see. The free patch is supposed to come out at the end of November. The PC version is supposed to have this, so maybe we can expect the PC version at the end of November, maybe December. I really hope they release it this year, because that's a big delay already. So we'll see. On the other hand, if they need more time, then just take the time. You know, don't like rush it and make it just suck. Make the PC port good. That's all I have to say about this. Alright. Next news, I'm reaching a little bit far in the backlog, because I planned on doing this segment earlier, but I got around to it only now. So God Eater 3 was officially announced. I was very surprised to see this happen, because when Code Vein was announced, and I saw the art direction and the combat and the developers behind it, I was pretty sure that Code Vein is supposed to be the, so let's say, replacement or spiritual successor to God Eater. But with the announcement of this, it seems like Code Vein is definitely going more for the action RPG type of deal, rather than a hunting game type of deal, which is God Eater. God Eater always was a hunting game. In Japan, known as karige, the subgenre of a action game, I guess. But, you know, the kind of game that's like Monster Hunter, Freedom Wars, Soul Sacrifice. I would even call Destiny and Warframe, and Phantasy Star Online. All these games are hunting games, basically. Even Nioh, to some extent. You gather your party in a lobby-based, like a hub-based thing, and then you select a mission where you either gather some materials, or you kill a certain number of enemies, or kill a certain boss. And that's basically a hunting game. You kill these things and gather these things for like materials, and you craft gear, upgrade gear, and maybe even craft some skills. In the case of Soul Sacrifice, there's no gear to be crafted, but you craft spells. So it's pretty interesting too. Man, Soul Sacrifice Remaster, that also sounds pretty good. Or a sequel. Although the way Delta ended, there doesn't seem to be a sequel really necessary or anything like that. There's some screenshots. So there's another thing. Oops, I didn't mean to do quite that. So that's another thing about God Eater 3 and Code Vein. When I saw the video for God Eater 3, I was pretty surprised because the environments look exactly the fucking same as Code Vein. Like, even the way the post-apocalyptic features are presented, they look really similar to, like, the worlds of God Eater and Code Vein look really similar. So I'm a little bit worried about cannibalization of these two games, but I don't know how close to each other these games will be released. And also they seem to be in a different genre, so I don't know. It's a bit suspect.
Alive, are you?
Crap. I thought I turned the notifications off, but it's alright. Hey Sugar, thanks for the resub. Always glad to see you here. Damn, still alive, are you? Your no-death run is continuing, well, I see. You know, the biggest thing about God Eater 3, I don't really see much of a difference in, like, at a glance, I don't really see anything new here from God Eater 2. And it's been 3 years, so this is kinda, I don't know. I'm not all that excited for now. We'll see. I mean, it looks alright, but me personally, I feel like I have outgrown the 3D anime art direction games. We'll see. Now we're getting to some juicy stuff. So, I totally did not see this coming, or at least I did not see this coming this quick. PC version for Nioh, Complete Edition. So at TGS, they announced Nioh Complete Edition with all the DLCs for the PS4, but they did not announce the same thing for the Western market. However, a few days later, they did announce the PC version having all the DLCs in them. So that's very interesting. It's coming out on November 7th, which is very soon. But judging by the language of this thing right here, it's gonna be digital only, which is, I don't think that's a surprise to anybody. It's gonna be only released on Steam. But it says that it includes high-resolution graphics that can be enjoyed in either action mode, which runs at 60 frames, or movie mode, cinematic option that can expand the display to 4K resolution. It kinda sounds like there's gonna be no graphical options whatsoever. It's just gonna have the 3 modes like the console version has. The action mode, the variable frame rate mode, and the cinematic mode. And that is a bit worrisome because Koei Tecmo does not have a good track record when it comes to PC ports. Now, the best case scenario when it comes to the previous ports is that it runs, it works at 60 frames, and that's about it. There's absolutely no options at all, so you can't scale it in any way. So if you have like a weaker rig, or you have problem with some certain features from graphical standpoint, or maybe like your GPU memory is low, you can't do shit. It's either going to run perfectly or it's just not gonna run at all. That's what it seems like. So I don't know, man. We'll see. Tokiden 2 is like the last game. No, the latest game they released was Blue Reflection, and that game does not have a good PC version. Okay, it works, but again, it has no scalable options. It's super bare bones, and a lot of people have like a lot of issues with the port. So man, it sounds bad. Tokiden 2 has been the previous game, and that runs very well, as opposed to the console version, which runs at 30 frames. The PC version runs at 60 for some reason. You know, looking at the graphics of Tokiden 2. I can't believe PS4 is not capable of handling that at 60 frames, but I don't know. We'll see about that. Funny thing that's included in the PC version is this Valve crossover Kabuto. Very interesting. I definitely am interested in picking up the PC version for myself, even though I have spent almost 600 hours on the PS4 version, and I will be playing more of it on stream in the near future. The reason why I'm gonna pick up the PC version obviously is that I don't have PS4 Pro, so I have been playing at 720p this entire time, and the graphics definitely do suffer from the low resolution. So I wanna check out how the game looks like at full resolution with the full frame rate, let's say. And it's going to be the perfect opportunity for me to finally tackle the Vagabond challenge. So yeah, I'm interested. I might not be able to pick it up at launch because it's probably gonna be, knowing Koei Tecmo, it's probably gonna be full price and it's gonna be just, yeah. There's other games I'm gonna play. I have a huge backlog, so I don't know when will I get around to it, but I will definitely get it at some point. Now, the next piece of news is by they I mean Vanillaware and Atlas, revealed some new, well, I don't want to say new information because they released a new trailer for 13 Sentinel Aegis Rim. But as far as I can tell, it has no gameplay whatsoever. It's mostly just conceptual thing to get you into the mood of things. Which is alright, I guess, but considering it's been announced, I think 2 years ago, this is a bit worrisome that they are so cagey about revealing any kind of specific information about the gameplay. I do appreciate that there's a Pompadour dude, like a delinquent kind of guy. It's very good. Very underrepresented niche. And yeah, you get a very small idea as to what's going to happen here. What we can see here for sure is that the 13 heroes will be piloting mechs, and they will be totally fucking naked when they do it. And by when they do it, I mean pilot the mechs. So yeah, the mech design, like I don't know, it looks totally fucking generic. I see nothing really interesting about this right now. So then again, I'm not a big mech guy, despite me absolutely loving Evangelion. Originally, when I watched Evangelion, I really had to force myself because I was like, man, it's robots, I don't care about robots. But then I found out that it's not exactly what it seemed like, and the rest is history. I think this is like the only picture that kinda sorta looked like gameplay. You get this like overview map, and there were some cursors like moving around the, I assume, Tokyo Tower. I don't know, man. I'm kind of worried that this might be a real-time strategy, kind of like Grim Grimoire. Now, I'm not saying Grim Grimoire is bad or anything like that. It's just that real-time strategy is definitely not my thing. I really suck at them, and I don't really have fun playing them nowadays or learning them. So, Vanillaware doing a real-time strategy with mechs, that would be kind of a mess for me, because I would be not interested in playing myself. Despite it looking beautiful and interesting from a design standpoint. Yeah. I can't really see this being an action game. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I'm definitely interested. I'll keep an eye out. I'll keep you posted, but I don't see this. It's not looking good. I'll say that. It's not looking very promising. Now the next news is Tokyo Xanadu EX Plus. Can you tell this is a Japanese game by the name? Has been announced. The release date announced for the PS4. Yeah, there's gonna be a PC version, but they did not say anything about that. Also, this date is only for North America. I don't know exactly why that is. Why is there no European date? But maybe there's a different publisher. I'm not sure about that. As what this actually is, Tokyo Xanadu is a third-person action RPG, kind of in the vein of Ys. Because, well, it's mostly from the same developer, so it's that's why I drew the comparison to Ys. There is one other Xanadu game that you can play right now. It's on Steam. It's called Xanadu something. Can't remember right now, off the top of my head. Damn it. Xanadu Next. Yeah, that's the name. Xanadu Next is on Steam, and that one is a little bit different from this one. It's an older title. It's from the days of Ys, the Oath in Felghana and Origin, so it's like a late 2000s, and it's okay, my dates may be wrong on this, just that's not the important issue here. Xanadu Next is kind of like a Diablo game, the classic Diablo game, where you just point and click and just kill stuff, but it's a little bit more difficult. There's some more mechanics for the movement and the way you learn skills, and it's really at a glance, it's really similar to Ys, Oath in Felghana and Origin, because it's a top-down. It has a very similar art direction and also similar music, but the gameplay is more akin to Diablo. So I can easily recommend it. It's a really solid action RPG with some unique mechanics, and it's pretty cheap. I think it's like 15 bucks or something, so that's pretty cool. Yeah, that's exactly it. Meta's got the links. Oh man, I forgot to post the links in chat for the news, but I don't know, guess it doesn't matter too much. I'll put it on YouTube for sure. So the Tokyo Xanadu is like a spiritual successor to Xanadu Next. It's an action RPG, and it's set in a modern era, so you can expect schoolgirls and just teenage protagonists, because, you know, it's a Japanese game, so duh. That may or may not be bad, I don't know. The design of the characters looks pretty cool. I've seen the game was released like 2 years ago on the PS4 in Japan and the Vita, so we're getting it pretty late, but I say better late than never, especially when it comes to solid action games like this. Also, EX Plus means that this is like the expanded version. Originally it released on the Vita, so we're getting some sort of expanded version. I'm not sure what exactly is different, but suffice it to say, it's a big game. And there are some minigames too. like you can skateboard in the game. And on the Vita it looked really janky, so I hope they touch upon that and just make it more palatable, I guess. There's not much else to be said here. I'm really interested in playing this, however, because who's this? It should be Access Games, right? Access Games and Falcom, they make some really good fucking action RPGs. Oh yeah. Now we're getting to the Lewd portion of the picks, the Lewd picks. So some of you may remember I played Onechambara on stream, like once or twice. Bikini Samurai Squad, or I don't even know what the localized names for that are, but basically this is a really fucking heavy fan service game. The original, the Onechambara, that's like the Chanbara in the name, signifies the samurai action. So in those games you have like bikini clad females, and they just whip up some zombies and monsters, and they're really exposed and really stylish action. It's cool. Like, I played the game, I finished it. It's definitely trash. It's not a very like good game, but it's very enjoyable because it's simple fun, and the combo system is pretty crazy because it allows you to cancel out of anything. You can do multiple juggles in the air. You can change your characters while in the air. There's just so much stuff you can do there, so it's definitely fun. And this one is set in the same world, it would appear. And this time it's not Chambara with samurai swords, but this time it's with guns. So that should be interesting. Yeah, I don't think this is gonna be very good or anything like that, but yeah, I'm interested in playing this for sure. I mean, it's zombies and schoolgirls and rifles and blood. I mean, what's not to love? I'm interested. Could be cool. I just hope that I don't know. What was my biggest problem with Onechambara? I guess it was just some really dodgy design for enemies. Some really weird attacks. I just really hate when you have action game and you cannot, and there's like unavoidable damage. That shit just drives me up the wall. So I hope that doesn't happen here. As far as I remember, you're supposed to like collect underwear in this game, so I guess that's fine. I'm into it. Wonder what the boss encounter is gonna look like, because when it comes to third-person shooters, when it comes to bosses, it's always like a mixed bag. It's either like a boring bullet sponge that doesn't do anything too special, or it's fucking Lost Planet 2. And boy, that's some of the most amazing third-person bosses you will ever see. Lost Planet 2 is such an underrated and overlooked game. It's a shame. It's a shame, man. That game deserved better. Definitely better than the sequel Lost Planet 3, but whatever. Now we're getting to the fighting game segment. So Blazblue Cross Tag Battle had some video that has been released, and I was kind of excited about this when it was announced, because I saw like the Persona characters and the Blazblue characters and the Unio characters, and I was like, all right, this looks pretty cool. This could be very interesting. Also, we get the tag battle, so we get two characters. I was like, this seems interesting. And with this video, I was like, I really don't like the music, man. I definitely am not feeling this at all. This is like some sort of J-pop, but like westernized J-pop, and it's just, I don't know, maybe the instrumental version will be better for me. Oh, it's from the show. Oh man, I probably will not get any bonus points from a lot of people for talking shit about this, but it's not my jam. It's just, I'm saying it's bad, I'm saying it's not for me. Now the bigger issue here is that when I'm looking at this gameplay, it's like, it's really obvious that these are extremely reused animations from like the respective games, and after playing like Guilty Gear Revelator and Tekken 7, it's really hard for me to get excited about 2D games that don't do anything really new. And this game does not care to do anything new. This is all about all the old stuff and putting it all together. Now that could create some new and interesting interactions, but you know, I guess, you know, Tekken 7 may have just opened my mind to 3D fighting. 3D fighting is just always unique. Every round is unique. Something weird always happens. The 3D models and the nature of 3D combat and the like always shifting hitboxes and all that stuff, it just creates opportunities for new shit to happen at any time, at any point. And it doesn't matter how old the game will be. We will be seeing new stuff in Tekken 7 happening all the fucking time. 2D games in this regard are way more limited, and I guess you really have to love the property to just get into it. And I was always more into Guilty Gear than Blazblue. So, I don't know. For me, the best part about this are the Persona characters. I'm interested in that. Those are the biggest draw for me. Also, there's, at the start of the game, you could have seen the character select. Let's take a look at that. So, get this shit out of here. So you can see there's the Ruby, there's Blazblue, there's Persona 4, but there's also another tab. There's Uniel. Crap, where was it? I remember that. Oh yeah, there was an ETC tab. ETC. So there may be like characters from some other property outside of the main franchises here, and I guess that could be completely anything. I mean, it could be, they could go so crazy as to bring some fucking Street Fighter Third Strike character into it. Hopefully not Chun-Li, because that would be a little fucked up, but you know, it's possible. They could do anything there, so that's another aspect that I'm excited about. Yeah, this could definitely be interesting. We'll see how it goes. We'll see if it picks up a scene, and if it has any sort of life in a tournament. Because anime games always struggle a lot with like general interest from like the viewership and the player base. Arguably the biggest anime game right now is probably Guilty Gear, but you know, next year when Dragon Ball FighterZ comes out, Dragon Ball is gonna eat all the anime fighters. It's also a versus fighting game similar to this one, so I don't know, man. We'll see. I think I say the phrase "we'll see" a little too much. Do I not? Ryu is not interested in fighting games. Yeah. Think about fighting games. You know, everybody keeps saying it, but they're hard. But it's just not that they're hard. It's just that they're hard to learn, I guess. In other single-player games, there's always like this difficulty curve and learning curve, and it's always kind of, well, usually it's kind of like mild. So you learn things in a sequence, and you never feel too overwhelmed, and you know, by the end of the game, you feel pretty good about your skills, you feel ready for any kind of threat, and you may even be ready to challenge yourself and not use certain mechanics. I mean, there's a bunch of Dark Souls players that challenge themselves in one way or another. So, fighting games have a problem where they don't really explain to you like the basic concepts, like the spacing with punishment, and like blocking at certain points, controlling space, and you know, conditioning your opponent. These are really abstract terms, and so far the only game that really comes like really close to teaching you these things effectively is Skullgirls, and maybe KI, Killer Instinct, but that's about it. It's a really difficult proposition. Now, there are a lot of materials on the internet Like, there are a lot of people that put up a lot of good stuff, like podcasts and like lecture videos and visual aids and tutorials, and they're really helpful. That's basically how I learned all this stuff, because there's not, well, okay, there is a small scene here in Czech Republic, but I have discovered it only like last year. So I learned all the stuff that I know from like 3-4 years back when I was checking out videos from like Ultra Chan and stuff like that. And yeah, it's not ideal, it's not perfect, but there it is. One thing I noticed that I thought was pretty interesting, and I would like to see it in some game. I really like the tutorial videos that are made by Avoiding the Puddle, which is a guy that plays a lot of Tekken, and the way he does tutorials, he doesn't really do tutorials. It's just that he plays Tekken, and then he receives like a donation, and somebody asks a question. Like somebody's struggling with certain combo, or certain string, or certain motion. So they ask about it, and sometimes Aris feels like answering. Not always, sometimes he does. And then another dude like cuts it up and puts it on YouTube. Now the cool thing about those things is that the way he explains things is really mature, let's say. There's a lot of explicit language. He also like calls out people that he's talking to, so he talks a lot of shit. But that makes it all the more enjoyable and also more easier to digest and understand. So what I'm getting to is that I would really like to see a fighting game where you have a tutorial that is like the regular, all ages version where they explain all the things, and then there's like a mature version where it's like I don't know, example. So you don't know what the cross up is? Oh man, how new are you? Okay, cross up is you jump over the opponent and you use an attack, and they have to block from the other direction. All right. So you can't just block that shit usually, like you would, like just going away from the enemy. When you see an opponent jumping at you, you gotta like go towards the enemy to block that shit, you know? So you gotta do that. Otherwise, you're gonna get fucked. You know, if there was like a tutorial like this that talked to me like this, I would be way more into it. I would be paying more attention, and I would even have fun. It's definitely more fun than just saying, a cross-up is an attack that you have to block from a different direction. It's boring as fuck. And I think I already forgot what I just said. So, I would really like to see mature tutorials. One other place where I saw this kind of thing is 4chan. And when I was in certain general thread, there's like we put together certain like guides to certain like franchises or genres, where it's like so you wanna play DRPGs, where do you start? And it's like this big ass wall of text where they say, so you wanna play a DRPG? Okay, motherfucker, get ready, because you're gonna dive into some dungeons, and you're gonna crawl, and you're gonna die, and it's gonna be fun. And this kind of language, I just love it. I just love this for explanations, because it's more enjoyable. I mean, you may not agree with me, but I really think it's a good idea. Why should tutorials be dry and professional? I want tutorials that are mature, and when they talk shit, and they're excited, and fun. I want to see that happen. I mean, games do have explicit language in them, so why not make a tutorial about it? So, Street Fighter V Arcade Edition was announced for PS4 and PC. Now, there have been a few people who were like, but didn't Capcom say they will not do these Turbo and Super Editions? Well, they did, but what they exactly say was that they will not do another edition that you will have to buy to play online, right? And that's still true. The Arcade Edition is basically just like a repackaging of the original game. However, it will also come with all the characters from Season 1 and 2, if you buy it new. It's not even gonna be full price, so this is a really good fucking value. And as for the Arcade Edition update, it's gonna have some new features like the arcade mode, some extra battles where you are supposed to be able to get some exclusive costumes. Sounds pretty good. Supposed to be new V triggers, which also probably means new V skills and maybe new V reversals. There's supposed to be new visuals. I'm not exactly sure how deep will that go, but the most interesting thing about that are pre and post fight effects. Now, also they're exciting. Now, the first thing that comes to mind obviously is the slow motion at the end of the round, right? That Tekken 7 is doing. That could potentially happen here, but I'm not sure how exactly would that work for a 2D game. Because the idea is that in Tekken, the frame data is way slower because it's a 3D game. So, like, the fastest moves in Tekken are like 10 frames, which is basically what is that? Like I don't know. It's pretty slow. It's basically what I'm saying. It's slow. You can visually see that it's a slow attack, and the other attacks are like 14 frames, 15 frames. So it's pretty easy to just get two clashing moves that are like 14 frames and 16 frames, slow the game down, and then you get to see the beautiful slow motion. But in 2D games, especially in like Street Fighter V, the quickest move is 3 frames, which is really fast. It just, that's it. It just comes out, it's done. It's over. And if at the end of the round, both characters are at low HP, and they're about to trade 3-frame jab and a 4-frame kick, I'm not sure how the slow motion would be like visually appealing, because A, it's 2 really unexciting moves. It's like jab and punch. I don't know. Also, it's very quick, so I don't know. It's probably gonna be some sort of maybe it's like gonna be the KO hit. Maybe on the KO something crazy happens, like a spinning camera, like in Guilty Gear, something like that. Speaking of Guilty Gear, I have heard that the Guilty Gear Xrd actually does have the slow-mo effect at the end of the round, where if 2 characters are both at like Magic Pixel. I have personally never seen it, but at least it seems that it's possible to do it in 2D game. I'm interested. The slow motion in Tekken is so beautiful, and it's definitely the first time it happened to me in my own match. I was just instantly in love. So the more games that adopt this mechanic, the better. Right, also, so if you buy the Arcade Edition new, you will get the characters from Season 1 and 2. However, they are not on the disc. They are part of a DLC code that you have to redeem. And a lot of people talk shit about that, and I gotta take the contrary stance here, because obviously the thing about this DLC code thing is that they want to promote new sales. They don't want you to buy this Arcade Edition used. And since the game is already $40, I think that's a really good compromise. They give you the game and the previous 2 seasons of characters, so you get a huge fucking roster of characters. And for $40, I think that's a really good price. I think that's fair enough. Also, it's probably tied to the way that the DLC is distributed in Street Fighter V, and also that you also have to like make a CFN account to be able to play online. So those 2 things probably are the reason why the DLC can't even be on the disc, like just straight up. I don't know, I'm okay with it. I definitely don't mind. I think it's fair enough. And if you already own Street Fighter V, you will get the update, like the Arcade Edition and the new visuals and all that stuff, for free. It's gonna be a free update. So I can't see how anybody can talk shit about this. This is only positive news. It's like, there's no arcade mode. Well, guess what? Now there's fucking 7 of them. Or 6? It's 6. There's now 6 of them. And they all have, supposedly there are like multiple endings for each of these arcade paths. So I don't know, man, it all sounds pretty good. Also, there's a new UI, right? So everything's golden for some reason right now. And the bars, the V skill and the EX bars are different. Probably the EX bar, I'm not sure why they changed that exactly, because it looked okay before. but maybe it's due to like better readability of how many bars do you exactly have. This is definitely easier to read at a glance, so I guess that's an improvement. And there's the barrel breaking minigame. Right, so here we can see Cammy has the second V trigger and it's 3 bars. So I'm gonna guess that the alternate V triggers will have alternate V trigger costs. So the characters that have 2 bar V triggers will now have V trigger 2 with 3 bars, and vice versa. So you could like you know, change your V trigger depending on the matchup. I wonder how's that gonna work. There has been some evidence that there's gonna be new V skills in this screenshot specifically, because Armika has the second V trigger, but she's not using V trigger, and this is a entirely new move. So this is probably a V skill where what's her name? Nadeshko comes in with a chair, slams fucking Ken in the face. Speaking of Ken, they still haven't fixed his face. Maybe the chair will fix the face. I wonder. I don't know. Me personally, I haven't played Street Fighter V in a long time. I don't even really watch it anymore on the tournaments because, I don't know, it's really stale to me. I've seen everything that the game has been doing, and it's like, if it's a Tokido with Akuma, we're not gonna see anything new happen on screen, probably. I'm definitely gonna watch Capcom Cup, that's for sure, because it's like the culmination of a year-long tournament, year-long season. So I'm gonna watch that, but I don't know, the game needs something new to happen, because it's really stale. And this seems to be like the perfect solution. There's one more news that I'm gonna cover. Oh, there's some questions. Alright, sorry guys, I wasn't paying attention to the chat. Right, so what are you guys saying? Slowdown will pretty much only catch the actual death and not the lead up. Yeah, that's the problem with the 2D games. Well, I mean, it depends on how exactly would it work. And how slow the slow-mo would be, I guess. Could work. How would you trigger different endings though? Well, I suppose you need to use the corresponding character for the corresponding path. So in like Street Fighter 1, you will have to use Ryu to get his ending. And in Street Fighter 2, you have to use Cammy to get her ending, and you know, stuff like that. I guess that's how it would work, maybe? I'm not sure, we'll see. I'm also kind of confused as to how exactly will we be unlocking the character-specific endings in each path. They didn't really specify. I'm interested. Alright, so the last piece of news is about The Witch and the 100 Knight 2. There's a release window that's been announced for the Western territories in 2018. Witch and the 100 Knight is a pretty damn overlooked and underrated action RPG from the top-down perspective. You know, I'm noticing a trend here. I'm a big fan of top-down action RPGs, huh? From Japan. Yeah. Chelka, oh, that's a cute name. Because Vchelka in Czech means bee. Like a tiny bee. It's cute. Right, so The Witch and the 100 Knight, originally released on PS3. I don't know when exactly, it's been like 2012, 2013. It was kind of late in the PS3 cycle. And later on it received a remaster and a sort of a expanded version on the PS4. I think that was released like last year. I played the demo when I got my PS4, and I was pretty damn impressed. I haven't got around to playing this yet because I have a huge backlog and there's a bunch of other stuff I'll play first. But I was always interested in this because it's by the guys that made... Is it actually the Disgaea guys? I think maybe not the entire team, but there's a bunch of people. And most importantly, there's the character designer doing the art direction. As far as I know, anyway. So, you can expect some very, very quirky humor and some cool music and some solid mechanics. because it's a freaking NIS and they do some good games. Let's take a look at the screenshots. Also, really nice colorful menus. Yeah, this is 100% this Gaia UI and the text boxes. Yeah. This screenshot is from a Japanese version of the game. I couldn't tell. Couldn't tell. Yeah, I think this is gonna be... Well, it looks very similar to the previous game, though. I'm not sure how I feel about games whose sequels look really similar to the previous game. Like, I guess I'm okay with it being like more of the same if it's good, but you know, I would expect some more of a shake-up in the terms of visuals and mechanics. Because this feels like a DLC maybe, or an expansion rather than a full-blown sequel. If it looks this similar. Kind of like with Destiny 2, right? That looks so similar. Is this 3D? Oh, yeah, that's a 3D cutscene. Alright. Cerca. So yeah. I guess that's gonna be it for the news, I suppose.